Hey there, today I will be sharing 5 absolutely unbelievable recipes that you can make with a box of cake mix. These recipes are so delicious, and no, they're not just boring cake. You might not even know that some of these recipes exist. Let's get to my kitchen and let's get started. To kick us off today, we're making these hot cocoa cookies. So to a medium-sized bowl, add in 1 box of chocolate cake mix. You could use any type or any brand of chocolate cake mix that you'd like. Then add in a 1/2 cup of softened butter and then 2 eggs. You're going to want to mix this together super well. You want the chocolate cake mix and the rest of the ingredients to be well combined. Once you're through with that, you're going to want to grab a sheet pan or a cookie tray, line it with parchment paper, or you could of course spray it with nonstick spray. I'm using my cookie scoop and I'm just scooping some dough balls onto the pan. And I do also want to let you know I have a variation of this recipe on page 206 in my cookbook. It's basically the same recipe, but I'm using a box of cake mix today instead of making the homemade chocolate cookie dough that I have in my cookbook. But I have over 100 recipes in my cookbook. They're like easy, affordable, yummy recipes. But this is going to bake in a preheated oven to 350 degrees for about 10 to 12 minutes. While it's in the oven baking away, I'm going to get started on my marshmallows for the top. This is one of my favorite parts. So cut regular sized marshmallows in half just like this. I found it's easiest to cut them in half with scissors. Once the cookies are out of the oven, just place a marshmallow in the center of the cookie, sticky side down. Then this is going to bake for an additional 2 minutes in your oven. And I want to let you know, even if you're not a marshmallow fan, you absolutely need to try these cookies out because I'm not the biggest marshmallow fan in the world, and these are seriously like my favorite cookies. But I'm going to get started on the glaze now that the cookies are out of the oven. It's 2 cups of powdered sugar, 4 tablespoons of melted butter, 1/4 cup of cocoa powder, 1/4 cup of warm water, and 1/2 teaspoon of some vanilla extract. Mix this together super well until it forms a glaze just like this. I do want to let you know I have a little bit of a cold right now, so I apologize if my voice sounds different. But once your cookies have slightly cooled down, just drizzle some of that glaze all over the top. Then you could serve these beautiful hot cocoa cookies up. Like I said before, these are some of my all-time favorite cookies. You could sprinkle some sprinkles over the top if you'd like. The cookies are so chewy. That marshmallow doesn't taste like a normal marshmallow after it's baked, and that glaze is 10 out of 10. Now we're getting started on this blueberry crumble, and it is just so unbelievably good and so easy to make. To a medium-sized bowl, add in 40 ounces of frozen blueberries, or you could use fresh blueberries if you'd like. Then add in 3 tablespoons of brown sugar along with a tablespoon of some lemon juice, or like 1 regular lemon just juiced. Give this a good stir, and then you're going to want to pull out a 9x13 baking dish, spray it with nonstick spray, and then you're going to add that blueberry mixture right into your baking dish. Like I said, this is so easy to make, and it's one of my family's all-time favorite desserts. Give it a little stir, then you're going to want to sprinkle 1 box of yellow cake mix all over the top. Spread that cake mix out just so it's not in like one clump in the center, and then you're going to want to place 8 tablespoons of thinly sliced butter all over the top of the cake mix. Make sure you do spread that butter out just so it's all over the cake mix, just because if you do leave a spot uncovered with the butter, then it might be a little bit dry. But just bake this in a preheated oven to 350 degrees for about 35 minutes, then you could serve it up. This recipe is on page 209 in my cookbook, and you'll find it in the desserts section. I have 8 different sections in my cookbook. I seriously have it all in this cookbook, and I do have some available right now, but you could just serve your cobbler up. We served ours with ice cream, and it is so good. Every time I make it for my extended family, they always think that it's some complicated recipe just because it really does taste that good, and using those fresh blueberries over like canned blueberry filling just makes it so good. Next, we're making these homemade Oreos, or like you could call them like chocolate cream cookies, but to a medium-sized bowl, add in 2 boxes of chocolate cake mix. Of course, you could use any brand or any type of chocolate cake mix that you like or that you could really find at the store. After you add your chocolate cake mix into a bowl, add in your oil. After you add in your oil, add in 4 eggs, and you're going to mix this together super well. When my husband and I first got married and we lived in the middle of nowhere, one of our friends who lived on a farm brought us these chocolate like homemade Oreo cookies, and they were so good. So I've been making them like this since. So it's kind of like nostalgia. But after it's mixed well, pull out a cookie tray, place scoops of the cookie dough onto your cookie tray, and you're going to bake this in a preheated oven to 325 degrees for about 10 to 12 minutes or until the cookies have set. Once they're out of the oven, let the cookies cool down completely. You want them to be cooled and not hot at all before you start on your filling. So now we're going to get started on the filling. This is going to go in between the cookies, and it is oh so delicious. So to a bowl, add in 1/2 cup of softened butter. You want to make sure your butter is softened, as well as your 8 ounces of cream cheese. Make sure it's softened. Add them to your bowl along with a teaspoon of vanilla extract and beat it together until it is smooth. Then you're going to add in 3.5 cups of powdered sugar, beat it in super well, and then once it is well incorporated, just like this, and your cookies have cooled down, you're going to add it in between each cookie just like this, and then place a cookie on the other side so it kind of turns into like an Oreo or a cream-filled cookie. And let me tell you, these are so unreal. They're absolutely so delicious, but of course they don't taste identical to like an Oreo cookie, but in my opinion they taste 100 times better than a regular Oreo cookie. They are so delicious. My husband can eat like 10 of these in one sitting. They really are that good, and they're also just fun to make. Now we're making this better than anything cake, and it is just so good, oh boy. So to a big bowl, add in 1 box of chocolate cake mix. Next, add in 1 box of chocolate pudding mix. This is going to make the cake extra soft and silky. Then you're going to add in 3 eggs along with 1 cup of milk, then 1/2 cup of vegetable oil. Mix this together until it is well combined. Once it is silky and smooth and well combined, just like this, pull out a 9x13 baking dish, spray it with non-stick spray. Then you're going to add that cake mix right into the baking dish. Spread it out, but it definitely does not need to be perfect. It will kind of like spread out in the oven. Bake this in a preheated oven to 350 degrees for about 30 minutes. Once it's out of the oven and it has cooled down, poke holes all over the top of the cake. I'm using a straw, but you could use the back of a spoon. You could really use anything to poke holes. Once you're finished poking holes all over the cake, pour a 14-ounce can of sweetened condensed milk all over the top of the holes. Then you're going to spread it out just so it's not in one area. You want it to be all over the cake. Then you're going to drizzle a 1/4 cup of caramel sauce all over the sweetened condensed milk. You could use any type of caramel sauce that you like. Just spread that caramel sauce all over the holes. Now we're going to get started on the topping. It's kind of like a frosting. It is so delectable. So to a bowl, add in 6 ounces of softened cream cheese. Make sure your cream cheese is softened, just because that will mix in a lot better than like hard cold cream cheese. Also add in a 1/4 cup of powdered sugar. Mix those 2 ingredients together super well until they are well combined and the powdered sugar no longer looks like regular powdered sugar. Now add in 8 ounces of whipped topping or like Cool Whip. Stir it in until it is incorporated. Now this is the topping frosting, and you're going to just spread it all over the top of the cake. And let me tell you, this is such a good combination. Go ahead and drizzle about a 1/4 cup more caramel sauce over the cake and then sprinkle on toffee bits. Then you could serve this beautiful cake up. If you're a chocolate toffee caramel fan, you will absolutely love this cake. It is so delicious. It doesn't taste like a regular box of cake mix. It tastes fancy and elegant. You absolutely need to try this better than anything cake. It is 10 out of 10. If you're a cinnamon roll fan, you will love this one. We are making this cinnamon roll cake now. So to a bowl, add in 1 box of white cake mix. Next, you're going to add in the ingredients that the back of the box calls for. So add in your oil, water, and eggs. You're going to mix this together super well until it is well combined. Then you're going to add this into a greased 9x13 baking dish. And you're going to bake this in your oven according to the back of the package instructions. Every box cake mix is a little bit different, but they're basically all the same. After this is out of your oven, you're going to let it cool down completely. Now we're going to get started on the cinnamon brown sugar mix. So into a bowl, add in 14 ounces of sweetened condensed milk. After that, add in 4 tablespoons of melted butter, a half a cup of brown sugar, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, and a dash of salt. Stir this together well until it is combined. And then once your cake is out of the oven and cooled down, you're going to want to poke holes all over your cake. You could use a straw like I did before, or you could use the back of a spatula. Really anything would work. And then you're going to pour this cinnamon sugar mixture all over the top of the cake and spread it out. I have a 16-ounce container of cream cheese frosting. I slightly microwaved it for about 20 seconds in my microwave just so it's a lot easier to spread. Spread it over the cake and then refrigerate this for at least 30 minutes so it can set up. This cinnamon roll cake is so unreal. It is absolutely delicious. If you're a cinnamon roll fan, you are going to really love this like we do. You could serve it for breakfast or you could serve it as a delicious dessert. This one is so good. I would really love to have you over here, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next video. I'll see you there. Bye for now.